Welcome to Adam Coyle show with Adam Coyle, the
Adam,
man
oh
who's
shit! It's the Robbie Robertson show. Out of
why
the
you gotta
blank.
look, you gotta curse, you gotta wait 10 minutes. 10 minutes
I
into
can't
the
wait 10
show.
minutes.
There are
Oh my god!
children
But
out
yeah, but
there.
we've been talking for a half an hour, like you pointed out.
Yeah.
So like, I've waited my 10 minutes, 20 minminutes ago.
What do you have, a
And,
spoon in your hand?
oh yeah, I guess.
That's just the most random thing. For all the video listeners, that was a question. You know, when you're watching a film and you got to point out the things that they do that they might not have cleared up. I like that type of thing. But I've been watching a lot of documentaries. Then I discovered the Zodiac. Dude, that's a
The
great.
Zodiac Killer.
It's a 3-hour film, and I
Oh,
love it.
yeah. I
Yeah,
haven't watched it in ages,
it's
but
good.
it's a good film.
That's
Yeah,
what every response I've gotten so far is. I haven't seen that film in years. I'm like, I just discovered it.
it's like one of those movies that you watch once and it's like amazing, but you can only watch it once because you know what the ending is then.
Well, you're a psycho killer. How would you do
I'm not. Look,
it? He looks to the shed. He looks to the shed every time. Every time.
Leave the shed out of it, Robbie. Okay. I had jams, and that's it.
Jams. Okay.
You know it.
What would be your go-to red flags that this person might be trying to lure you into a dark, moist basement without any chance of being able to survive again?
Going into the dark basement, first of all, like that's a red flag.
I have a light fixture that needs
going into a house. Oh, fair enough. Okay, you caught me. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I watched the Netflix special on that Zodiac Killer stuff, and that was really eye-opening.
They just found him recently, like the real guy who did it.
See that? Okay, so that was what? When did that happen?
That just happened
2 months ago.
It happened about a month ago.
Okay, so this show predates that. I think it was like when did it come out? Late last year or early this year? So up until then, they still didn't know who the exact person was. But their theory is that the Zodiac Killer is actually a group of people.
Multiple killers,
right? Doing it but the thing is, what led them to believe that is that no one kill was the same. Usually a serial killer has like a what do you call it? An MO. They have like a pattern that they follow, right?
Well, you have a mind that works in a certain way, like the way I could say something that can link into your memory and only you would understand it compared to someone else would receive something different. The weird part is like during that movie I was watching there's a bunch of people that were trying to take the rap for being the Zodiac Killer, all on an aspect of fame. And it's like, it's strange because, I mean, the way to truly understand somebody else's perspective on things, you have to understand a lot of perspectives. And I think that's like one thing I've really understood about like doing the show is like hearing everybody's thoughts and opinions and mind type things. You're never going to understand them all, but you understand how a person can link to a way that they linked into something. Like I can understand why people get mad at a certain thing and want to cancel a certain thing. I can also stand the other side with it as well too. But it's about like, the weird part is like, I don't know, with a psycho killer though. Like, I don't like how, do you prefer that films lead you to assumptions on things, or do you prefer they give you an outright answer? Because I feel like that film leads you to a lot of assumptions, maybe because they don't know who the actual killer is, but I also think that does a disjustice or a disservice to it a little bit.
See, now you're getting into like shows like The Sopranos, where it's like they just left off with a black screen.
I prefer the mafia
days.
I prefer the mafia days where you knew who your enemies were. Now you got to take a fucking pick at every politician that's up on stage and be like, is that guy in the deals with Russia or China? I don't know. Let's fucking vote for him.
Right. No, I there's no face anymore. Yeah. Well, there's faces, but
well, they're blaming like a Bezos. I'm like, I don't think Bezos is dealing with the corporate elites. I think
yeah.
Really? You think so?
Are they for real?
I hope
so. Hold on.
I tweeted at him saying, "Send me to the moon. I want to prove it's not flat."
So hold on. Who's blaming Bezos and for what?
Bezos was blamed because his working conditions at Amazon were shit. I
Okay.
just don't know when the shift happened of when we started looking for our actors and comedians to be someone that they're not. Like we're looking for Sandra Bullock and we're looking for Matthew McConaughey to speak up against all this tirades and all these things about people refusing mandates. And I'm like, who gives? When the fuck did I expect Mr. Fast Times at Ridgemont High to
It's because they
say a
have clout.
goddamn
That's
thing?
why.
What?
It's
What?
because they got clout.
Okay.
They have clout. They
What the
have
fuck does
social
clout
clout.
mean? That sounds like a disease from the 1800s.
They have a social presence. They have,
Okay.
okay,
I have a
so
social presence.
because okay,
I'm
they have a
secretly
major social
moonlighting
presence. You
as
know that.
I'm secretly moonlighting as Mariah Carey.
Okay, so try and prove that one.
No.
Mwah. So, anyways, so
That fucking check mark means like verification. And verification in people's
I'm
minds
talking
means
about.
like
We're not talking about verified
you have
people.
a check
I'm
mark.
talking about. I don't have a check mark.
Yes, you do. You're a popular
Where?
artist. I just asked you to be in
Bullshit.
my film.
You have a film?
You're like, oh, now you gotta Venmo me $17,000. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I gotta sell
Oh,
my fucking
bullshit.
home.
Come on, man.
I
What do
gotta
I?
sell my home.
I'm just a lowly electrician in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Don't
That likes to
discredit
make
it. You just
jams in his.
who just bought a new mattress. Let's go back to the mattress.
Okay,
8
what's up with
years
the
old.
mattress?
What's
8 years
wrong with the
old, yeah.
mattress?
My back is messed up. So, what? It is.
Sound any more like a grandpa? That would be amazing.
So yeah, my back is messed up. I don't know if it's from work or from the mattress, but I don't know. So I'm fixing the mattress by getting a new mattress.
Maybe up your vegetable intake instead of just broccoli juice. Maybe something a little bit.
I changed from broccoli because I couldn't find broccoli one week. I was like, all right, well, I'm changing the broccoli. So now I'm on red peppers.
It's not even the same fucking category. You're getting
But it
like
tastes
vitamin
good.
B from your broccoli, and now you're getting vitamin K from the peppers.
Are you getting vitamin K from the peppers?
Yeah.
Yeah? Fantastic.
Why don't you just go for vitamin A and from your carrots?
Yeah, but I already take vitamins at the end of the day too.
You gotta stop taking pills, man.
What?
You gotta
What
talk about your pill abuse.
Yeah,
Isn't
what, my
that weird?
B50?
They don't want you, the society doesn't like pills when you're doing drugs, but you can take pharmaceutical pills that give you your fucking vitamins. Just come on, tell me in life you haven't questioned things. Why are we okay with that, but we're not okay with that? You know, like it's. I had another thing. I had another example
You're
too.
all over the place today.
No, I'm just thinking about like when people say the world doesn't make sense anymore. I'm like, did it ever? Did it ever make sense? It never did. That's the whole point of this thing, is that you have a bunch of cooks in the kitchen trying to make a souffle, and sadly, you have a house of people. What's with the spoon? Seriously, I'm keeping that in there. That's going to be
like a fidget spinner.
Okay. Were you eating cereal or are you spinning your coffee or your tea?
No, I was making my tea.
Okay, take a sip from
it. I've already had too much coffee today.
Let me hear a sip. There it is. Yep. Then you hear the swallow. Perfect. Swallows come back every year too. Did you know about that?
What?
So I was, because I'm trying to think, like there's things I'm starting to question more. I'm like, society never made sense, but when you have all of these cooks in the kitchen making a souffle, then you have people that don't know how to shut the hell up that make the souffle fall every single time. So I think those people that don't shut the hell up are important, because they play a key part in not letting a system become constructed so much to where when it's done and it's finished, instead the process just keeps restarting over and over again. But the trick is to never let the batter hit the pan. And that's what the true question of what is that. And I think that's, we're holding
What's
the wrong
batter?
Well, the batter is our minds. Our minds have all been led into insanity, where if you see a random person on the side of the street rubbing shit across a wall, he's either an artist or he's addicted to drugs. And we're not talking about the ones that get you your essential A's, B's, C's, and D's. We're talking about a guy that is probably taking the H to the C to the J to the D.
How do we get onto this topic from vitamins?
Welcome to Out of the Blank podcast. This is your first fucking time.
So let's go back to the vitamins. There's nothing wrong with taking vitamins.
You'll take a vitamin from a man in a lab coat. But if a heroin addict decides I want to shop on wish.com and buy a lab coat, you can't take those.
Okay. But why are you buying your vitamins from a heroin addict instead of, I don't know, a CVS?
What are vitamins in the shape of? Little circular or oval shapes, or if you're lucky, you get a Flintstone, right? A Flintstone
Okay.
gummy.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Those are able to be marketed. Did you know America? And I think, is it America? And there's one other country out there that is the only country in the world that is able to advertise medicinal or pharmaceutical drugs.
What? Say it again? There's
America,
only, oh, yeah.
America and another country are the only countries that are able to actually advertise types of pharmaceutical drug. Are you baking a
What?
fucking quiche while I'm talking to you?
I'm making banana bread, bro. Banana bread. I was actually going to ask you if I can make shepherd's pie on the podcast, but we won't go there.
All right.
Shepherd's pie is wonderful.
Yeah,
It's the time
I get it,
for it.
but just your main method of focus. I gotta ask Robbie if I can make a shepherd's pie. Well, instead of just asking about making shepherd's pie, I'll go with the safe bet, which is fucking banana bread.
Well, it's already made. I didn't, wait for you to
So
make
it's
that.
pre-brought from a store, and then he just puts it in the oven and leaves the timer on, so it makes it look like he's a cook or a chef or a bakery man.
A bakery man, a baker?
Sure. They don't call the muffin man a maker. They call him a muffin man. So I should call a baker a baking man or a baking woman or a baking undisclosed gender. Is that okay with you?
I think that's okay. That's fantastic.
Your offensive culture is not okay here.
What offensive culture? What did I do? I'm just asking about vitamins from heroin people.
The children.
The children. Won't you think of the children?
We got to get this show on the rails somewhere. We got to find it.
It's totally off the rails.
Drop your damn anchor, Adam. Drop your anchor.
Let's talk about Bezos. Let's go back to Bezos.
Why? Okay. What did you want to talk about before? What?
I think this is me thinking
it ruins the show.
I think he's in league with China.
Why do you think you hit me?
Because all their products are from China.
You were one of the people that hit me up talking about like, dude, China, like you were actually scared. And I was like, I've been talking about this forever. Did you just now start taking it in?
No, I didn't start taking it in now. I was talking about this before. Okay. Like the early days of the COVID. Okay. And then I had my crazy theories. Then everybody thought I was crazy. And then all this stuff came out.
You just forgot your train of thought.
Yeah, exactly. They're programming my mind not to say things on the podcast. So, and then all this stuff came out on legitimate news. Okay, and it's like I'm feeling vindicated.
Well, it's legitimate news. What are we talking about? News that has a TV channel, or are we talking about actual? Because I think you get more from articles. It's really weird. You see more of an independent rise in journalism, and sadly, that comes with sketchy territory where it's kind of.
I'm talking about 60 Minutes Australia.
Yeah, Australia is really, really fucking. Sky News Australia, I think it's called, has been like lighting up the fucking political market with like a bunch of like ideas, and I'm like, it's very weird. I think it started because who was in the news a lot with their mandates? It was Australia. Australia was all over the place with that shit. Like they were like cops beating people in the streets. And the next thing you know, you start seeing them turn on our politics or other countries' politics. I was like, you're trying to get the heat off your fucking ass, man. Because you're in camps down there.
But isn't like 60 Minutes like?
There was a 60 Minutes episode on my town. It was a horrible murder.
Oh, murder happened in your town.
What murder happened in my town?
Yeah.
A couple from like Virginia met this other couple. I remember they played this in seventh grade in my government class, right after the 9/11 documentary. It was fucking a horrible week at that school. I thought I wanted to kill myself. Thank God I didn't, right?
Yes, I would have never met you.
I thought you were gonna say, well, my goal is to make you spit take. That's my goal. So the murder, what happened is that this couple met this other couple at a bar, popular one that actually one of my family members works at, and they went to like this hotel back together with each other, and then they chopped up this couple and dropped their body parts all around town. Now, I
Wow.
didn't know I did a murder podcast where it got or not murder, it was like a drinking podcast, but you're talking about things that happened to your town. This is a well-known case, so I thought I'd talk about it. I didn't realize how dangerous my town was, and I started to think about this more when I was thinking about moving. I was like, everywhere has a type of scenario where I don't think I would vibe with any culture that's not my town because this is all I know, but you adapt to your place. It's kind of like if you live in Halifax, then you try moving to like Nova Scotia. I'm trying
Hmm.
to put this in Canadian references. But your fucking roads don't make sense to me. So I have to try and gotta maybe correct me a little bit on some sense. Like
Okay.
say kilometers instead of miles. Just
Yeah,
fucking
it's
say
kilometers.
fucking miles per hour. Stop making it difficult. Just
What's wrong with
conform,
kilometers?
conform. Just conform.
Look,
Just
look,
conform.
look.
Just
Kilometers is easy because there's 100 meters or 1,000 meters to a kilometer.
do you measure
Okay.
your dick in centimeters or inches?
Look, we do our construction in centimeters.
Yeah, because it's more, right? Yeah. That's what I thought. That's what I fucking thought.
Because it's more
I'm
precise.
not wrong. I just got you big time on that. Come on.
Okay.
Okay.
Precision.
No, it's because it's more. The number's bigger.
Look, I don't know why we do it in centimeters. Look, house construction is done in like
Do you
inches
prefer
and
to have
feet.
one or 100?
I'll be honest, I prefer the feet inch method. It makes a little more sense to me. Not so much miles, but kilometers makes sense to me.
Try measuring your dick in a foot. 1/64th
I
of
don't
a
have
foot.
a
Does
foot
that
long
sound
dick.
like a big?
1/64th. What do
It's
you have? Like,
1/64th of a foot.
what's
I
a
don't know.
64th of a
I
foot?
don't know. Apparently, the
Well,
size of
why
your
don't you
dick.
calculate it?
I'm not gonna
I
calculate
don't
shit.
have this.
You
What?
stop pulling it out on my show. Okay, back to what we were saying. So
Robbie.
it would be like if you went from Halifax to Nova Scotia. It's a completely different kind of vibe or scenario or a different culture of living. Even though it's still part of Canada, it's a different thing, even depending
Mm-hmm.
on wherever you go. So if I went from Maryland to a different place like Texas or Tennessee, it's a different culture. It's a different
Right.
whole thing than I've grown up knowing. So I would stick out like a sore thumb until I adapted to where I live.
Assimilated.
Yes. So with that in mind, I have lost my fucking train of thought.
Where would you go? Okay, if you had to move, what city would you go to that would be similar to where you're at right now?
I would not go somewhere similar.
Okay, but if you had to, so you didn't stick out like a sore thumb.
Why are you forcing me into scenarios I don't feel
I'm just
comfortable with?
trying to figure
I
out.
created this show to be a safe space, and you're making it a toxic hellhole.
I am not making it toxic at all. I'm trying to see where you could hide if you had to hide somewhere
Well, I would hide the
instead of
bodies in
sticking
your
out like a
basement.
sore thumb.
I would hide the
Huh?
bodies in your basement because there's already people down there,
What?
Adam.
San Diego, California? Would that be somewhere?
I thought you were in Canada.
No, I'm talking about you. If you had to go somewhere with as
No.
little assimilation as possible.
Oh, with little assimilate. I'd probably go to like New Jersey because they got an ocean city down there too. Like there's two ocean
Okay.
cities, but we're like the main one. They're like the side one. It's
All
probably the
right.
exact same, but I wouldn't fit in that culture down there either. Because even if it's a minute detail, you still stick
Mm-hmm.
out. You know what I mean? That's the weird
Mm-hmm.
part is like you just have to adapt to the situation that you're really put in. You know, like
It's
if I
funny
went,
because the accents would be different too, wouldn't it?
probably,
Like I can see, like you don't sound like somebody that's from Jersey.
yeah, but if you're thinking about the stereotypical Jersey person,
Well, I don't know. I'm not talking about the stereotypical Jersey person. I think we have some relatives. My
where do
wife
you,
has some relatives from Jersey, I think.
where would you least likely survive if you could pick a place? Where do you think you would least likely survive?
Me?
Yeah.
Nowhere, baby.
Do you think you'd adapt everywhere?
Everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
China.
Wuhan.
Bullshit.
Right in the heart.
Bullshit. Bullshit. I call bull.
Look, I got the haircut going already.
You would be sold at that lab so quickly. They would be sticking so many needles into your big toe.
Oh my God, Zimbabwe.
Really?
That's right.
Okay. I don't know what New Zealand's like, so I don't want to ever leave this country. I would
No,
like to go to
I
Canada if I
honestly,
had to choose, but
it's not too bad.
I don't think
I
it's
think
bad at all.
you'd fit, but I don't want to move from this place. I can't stick. I can't deal with like another culture's bug life and animal wildlife.
Oh
Like
my God, I
like
remember
our
what I wanted to
spiders are
talk
like
about.
maybe like this big in Toronto, this big max. Okay, okay. I can't deal with a spider that's this big.
That's
Okay,
what I'm
I
talking
will
about.
fucking flip my shit.
That's what I'm
Okay,
talking about.
I will buy a flamethrower from the closest Bass Mill Pros, and I will light this shit up on like
I I
I
remember
don't
what I
know.
wanted to talk to you about now. So like about the moving thing
Oh,
with the
yeah.
it's the animals with the moving thing. My buddy had called me and he was like, "Sorry, man, I'm gonna have to bail on today because I have a bear that's on my front porch." And he sent me a fucking video of a
You're
little
not.
tiny bear going through his front porch. He's in Ohio, so he has a
What's a
little.
bear?
It's a little bear going through his front fucking porch, like tearing up his shit. He was just like,
Always
dude,
tearing his shit up.
yeah, he's just like, I'm not about it today. Like, I'm already in a pissed off mood. You're not going to want me on the show. I'm like, all right, dude. And he's like sending me his video. He goes, I can't even go to my fucking car because this thing is right there. And I'm like looking, I'm like, dude, when he said the bear was outside of his house, I was like, that's not even a worry down here because we don't have any bears in Maryland.
Right.
But you hear places of people that like, oh, like my buddy from Australia was like, yeah, there was just a koala walking like a person across the road. I was like, what? Like, we have deer that we have to miss over here. You have koala bears. He goes, yeah, you can't walk around in the forest. They'll jump down from the trees and like grab your head and shit. I'm like, oh my God. And you just start to understand it's like, oh my, yeah, like trying to adapt to a whole new culture where you're like, what is this thing? It's like, yeah, we have a coyote problem. It's like, what? A coyote
Oh
problem?
yeah, we have a coyote problem over here too.
Damn.
Funny enough, they're walking the streets um with the hookers at night. And yeah, it's fucked up, man. Like there's legit coyotes.
The
Like
new
I
pimps
think
of
that
Canada.
yeah, no kidding. They use I think they use the railways as transport.
That sounds
So
like a
they don't actually ride on the train, just to clarify.
it's a
They just
drifter. A
they
drifter.
drift on the railway to get from one point to another, just because it's easier access. Um, but yeah, they're like it's not uncommon to see them at like 5, 6 in the morning walking around. Same with the raccoons. Raccoons are everywhere over here.
So
Just gotta be careful about them.
there's a hotel in my town. I think they got rid of the exhibit part, but they used to have open like birds, like rainforest birds, like parrots and all these types of things.
Okay.
And it's good. I mean, if you're a tourist and you're looking at ways to attract people, you got to think like, oh, what's if there's these people coming to this town? What's a cool thing that no other hotel probably has? And that would be to add something like a hot tub or add something different that a lot of hotels probably don't have. Um,
Mhm.
they added all these birds all over the place. There was like at least 15 something birds that were just littered throughout this whole entire hotel in this main giant lobby. And the lobby is open to where it's kind of like you can walk, like your back window or whatever would be inside the building. So you would out your back porch or whatever is that you're still in the building. It's just a giant open
Right.
thing. So across the way you can see the other people's rooms as well too. So
So they have like an aviary in the middle.
you can send fucking code messages to each other with fucking
Yeah, yeah,
you fucking suck, that type of thing.
yeah.
And give them the middle finger and all that, you know. And if someone's about to be murdered, you can point behind them like, turn around. There's someone trying to kill. But there's all these birds like littered everywhere. And it was really cool. And I remember like going to bed and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was like 14 years old. I was always in the pool 24/7. And I remember it was like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, and all you heard was like the loudest screeches, the screams. They sounded like someone being murdered. Where I was like, oh my
Mhm.
God, someone being killed. And it's the fucking birds. They have like a witching hour for like 3 hours that they just all are screaming. And my dad's like, this is why people never book this fucking place. And I'm like, but it's that thing. It's like, I don't know. It's just something different, but that experience. And when I was doing Uber at like the very start of the pandemic, when everything was still kind of closed a little bit, I was
Mhm.
doing Uber Eats and
Mhm.
I had got a delivery to that hotel. And I remember
Mhm.
walking in there and I'm like, didn't you guys used to have birds here? And they're like, yeah, we got rid of those. And I was like, when did you guys get rid of that? Like, I only lasted like a couple of months, man. I was like, oh, so then that couple of months, it was my first time coming to this fucking hotel when you had those birds here. And he goes, yeah, they just screamed way too much, man. And I was like, what'd you do with them? He's like, took them out back. And I was like, out back? Like,
What?
out back? He's like, yeah, someone took them out back. And, I guess they went to some type of like, it sounded like he murdered them. I don't know if he did,
Yeah,
but
no kidding.
I'm just assuming he did because out back never means fucking. It's like when you find out at horse races when they see the curtain pull around a horse, they fucking. I didn't know they shot him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they shoot him. I think they used to do. I don't know if they do that anymore. So
Really?
apparently that method of shooting a horse if it breaks a leg or throws a shoe or something like that, it's
Mhm.
it's almost impossible to rehab them. I think they've
Mhm.
only done it once, but the horse, like the bone just doesn't grow right because they have to stand all the time. They
Right.
sleep standing up. They don't sleep on the
Right.
ground. It's just impossible for the bone to heal properly. So it's just safer and more humane to put them down. So they have this thing that they put a horse in a harness and
Mhm.
for the leg to heal, they kept him floating in the air and everything, but they just used him to breed. His leg is still fucked up. They just can't. It doesn't. It never. It's way more money. It's like kind of like breeding a donkey and a horse together. You get a mule. You can't
Yeah.
get a mule any other way besides breeding a donkey and a horse. Mules have blank sperm, so you just can't have them repopulate or breed into anything else. It's way more money to have that done that way,
Mhm.
but it's people like it.
Yeah. I
Like an
mean,
English
the
bulldog is the
wheelchair
same way.
thing sounds pretty cool.
There's no
And why
wheelchair.
not?
No,
Well, put them in a wheelchair. Why not?
that doesn't fucking work. Horses don't go in wheelchairs
Why not?
because they got to be
Just
standing up.
have like just grab one of the useless hay balers, okay, or whatever, and just hook him up. Just throw his legs in there, and
I will send your submission to the government and we'll go
sounds
from there.
good. Let's
We'll
do that.
call it the Coyle device.
Just chop
Shop them. Glue? Glue? Isn't that a thing? Glue? Aren't they made into glue or
glue.
something?
Uh, I've heard that before.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if they still do that. Do they still do
I don't know. We
that?
got to talk to someone who makes like
You know
model
what they used to
airplanes or some
do?
shit. What?
They used to shave down the horses, and they used to incorporate it in the plaster um, in house building. Yeah. Way back in shit when they were doing lath and plaster. So I guess what um, tens and twenties, 1910, 1920, whatever. So you ever heard of lath and plaster construction?
No.
Okay, they didn't have drywall back then. Okay,
Okay.
so they had these thin pieces of wood. Okay, so they were like an eighth of an inch thick by what was that? Like maybe 2 inches. Okay,
Okay.
and they would run them across the studs
24
in the
centimeters.
house. Yeah, what? 24
20,
centimeters.
24 centimeters.
No,
There's
no, 2
12
point
centimeters in an inch.
2.5, 2.5 to an inch
There's
centimeters.
2.5 centimeters in an inch.
Yes, you're thinking millimeters.
Oh. Yeah, see,
Uh,
this is why I can't make fucking jello. I tried to do that recently. I fucking failed hard.
how the fuck do you get
It's harder than you
Jello
think.
from
It's harder than
millimeters?
you think. Maybe
That's
not.
that's not even the
Maybe
right measurement.
maybe not to someone like you that likes to bake banana bread in his free time and maybe is possibly marinating on the idea of a shepherd's fucking pie. But for someone who doesn't use the oven and doesn't know how to bake or anything, when they say add 2 cups, I don't know what they mean.
But that's a cup. What? That's not even like a Canadian thing.
I have a cup that's a
That's an
different size than
American
the
thing.
other
It says
cups.
cup.
I have a cup that
You guys have
look what
like
you're
the
drinking
weird
out of. That's a cup.
mug.
That's
That's a mug.
but you're using it as a cup and it's got no ice in it this time. I missed the
No.
clinking.
Oh, you missed the
It's
clinking?
been a while since we've talked. We got to knock the rust off. I don't know.
So going back to lath and plaster. So
Okay.
in order for it to mesh together,
Okay.
okay?
Mesh,
So
connect. We We say connect
No,
in the
no,
States.
like mesh. Like it was like an actual mesh. So it like the hair acted like a mesh.
Oh, for the love of
Okay,
God, can I get a
to keep the
segment for my
plaster
hold on.
against.
Hold on. For my film, I want to get you dressed up in a suit and I just want you describing sex to young children because you're like, and they what did you say? Intertwined? What did you say?
Interconnect
Oh,
mesh.
you're fucking sticking your fingers together like four people trying to scissor. Is that a proper description? It's kind of
Is
like
that a proper term?
it's
Yeah, I
kind
would say
of
scissoring is
it's
a proper term.
the way you described it is like when you ask somebody for directions and you're like, how do you get to old Mount Drive? And they're like, well, you're going to take a left by the crooked, twisted oak tree. And you're like, that's a weird thing. Most people just say you take a left at the light and then go that way. But you're like, the twisted oak tree. I just remember that is always stuck into my brain like a herniated disc in an old man's back.
So you're saying I'm old as fuck. I'm like one of those
No,
prospectors
I'm
on the
not
side of the
saying
road.
that. I'm just saying your
I'm gonna
descriptions
be
of things are very, very long reached and long winded. I think you should make it easier on
true
yourself
enough.
by just saying connected.
Okay, so they connect to one another. Okay,
Say it without stuttering this time.
within the plaster, and
He's doing
then
the finger thing again. I fucking love it.
it
I
makes it.
love it.
I don't know. Okay, so anyway, so that's lath and plaster.
Well, it's made out of horse.
No, the hair is shaped from the horse and incorporated into whatever slurry they were using, which is more like a concrete rather than a plaster.
Whoa, that's kind of like Bob Ross's brushes. They were made from badger fur.
Yeah, they make.
Yeah, but that's illegal.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
The lady that has stolen his name and his brand kind of and it's still making money off of it, she
Mm.
still used it even though it's been illegal. I think it's like the FDA or someone put a thing against them saying that you can't use this brush or you can't use this type of thing, and all people were stopped to be using that brush by a certain date, and then they still do it. Like you can tell by the way that the furs on the brush or the wick or whatever the brush actually looks like, the little
The
whatever,
bristles?
yeah, the bristles, that they look like it is a different shade to it. It goes gray and
Right.
then it's like brown and it's like you could
Yeah.
tell it's part of like an animal fur. It's very weird. Like you would think that PETA would step up and say something, but they're just about banning animal slurs.
But I don't understand. It's not like you're killing the animal.
When you
Are you?
take its fur, yeah,
Can't just shave it down?
I don't think so, not with a
Why
badger,
not?
because it's like a bristles is like the
You
bristles
can't
of
just
it.
put it to sleep for a
It's
bit
kind of
and
like
then just like shave it down and
when you
they
pluck
wake up with a crew cut or something?
Jesus Christ. This man's opening up a damn barber shop for badgers. When you pick like a hair,
Question.
when you pluck a hair,
Yeah.
how it's deep inside of your skin.
So it comes with follicles.
I think yeah, I think that's why it's so like they're so like fine. It's not like fuzzy hair. It's very fine. Like it's very sharp, like
Yeah.
quills of a
Okay.
porcupine.
Yeah. But still, why can't you shave it? I don't understand.
Because it
I
goes
don't get it.
inside the skin.
How long are these
I'm
hairs?
not a cosmetologist. I couldn't tell you. I'm guessing
Are
they're
they
long.
are they like a centimeter? Or are they like
I
five
think I think
centimeters?
it's like they're about the size of an inch,
Okay.
maybe
And you
longer.
got to take the follicle with that instead of just taking a razor to it?
I don't know. I don't make brushes.
Come on, man.
Stop asking me
Come
questions I
on.
don't know the answers to.
There's got to be a different way of doing it that you can still use
Is it that
the
unbelievable
hair
to think that we're
but
not
be
still doing?
humane.
Is it you think it's that unbelievable that we're still not doing things that don't make a lot of sense?
No, we don't make us as humans don't make any sense.
There's that.
Okay, plain
What
and
is it?
simple.
There's that town or
Zero
whatever
sense.
that has a low level of like radiation that's affecting the population and all of their. I think it's the same. So
What,
I
Albuquerque, New Mexico?
no, I was listening to this podcast and this guy was talking about Coca-Cola and he was talking about the evil things that Coke do. So like
Mhm.
Coke, when you read their ingredients and stuff, they miss out like a certain. I gotta look up what the issue to Coke is. Hang on a second.
Isn't there a place in the States where people live and they can't have basements because of like radon or something like that? Like there's radon poisoning.
I mean, there's in Chernobyl, the wolves, they have like this type of
Chernobyl.
glow to their eyes.
Chernobyl's a different story altogether. Chernobyl is like I don't know if that'll ever be habitable again. Crazy.
criticism of Coca-Cola. Environmental issues. In March 2004, local officials in Kerala shut down a 16 million Coke bottling plant blamed for a drastic decline in both quantity and quality of water available to local farmers and villagers. In April 2005, the Kerala High Court rejected water use claims, noting that well there continued to dry up last summer, months after the local Coke plant stopped operating further. A scientific study requested by the court found that while the plant had aggravated the water scarcity situation, the most significant factor was a lack of rainfall. So there's like, I was listening to a podcast where this guy had been studying a lot about what goes on like with the Coca-Cola industry, how they're able to get away with so much stuff. There's just a lot of like, you're seeing a lot of harm to the people that live in these scenario or live in these places that Coca-Cola or these types of company. I forgot what the main company he was talking about was. I got to look up the guy's name real quick. What is his name? His name is, the podcast is Bartal Elmore. He's an associate professor of environmental history and core faculty member of the Sustainability Institute at the Ohio State University. He's the author of Seed Money. Oh, Monsanto's. Monsanto's, I think his name. That's a place, isn't it?
I don't know what Monsanto is. I heard it on Family Guy once. That's it. I don't even know what the hell Monsanto is. What the fuck? Hold on one sec.
Calm, yeah. But this whole podcast, like you start to realize, like it was kind of exposing Coca-Cola and like the grimy ways that they get away with things. Mostly because they're able to lie about certain things on their ingredients, and also types of environmental issues that was going on with this town, where they were literally suggesting people like Monsanto's. There's a God, I can't remember if that's the company's name or not, but they were talking about that they had done some type of thing where it's piled the length of like, I guess, a football field in just types of like environmental waste that's just piling up there, and they just leave it there and the town's being exposed to it. But they say it's such a low level that it's not really like affecting people's health. But all they
Okay.
did was give recommendations to people, because a lot of these places in this, I think it's Minnesota or Wisconsin or something like that, they have basements, and they just said, hey guys, we know that this issue is going on here, and it's very hard to get people to get up and move out of the home that they spent their life in and spent hardworking money to get in there. They just say,
Yeah.
instead of fixing the issue, they go, well, we just recommend just don't spend too much time in your basement. And it's like, well, our kids have a fucking Nintendo in the basement. It's like, well, tell them that they can't play Nintendo for that long.
What the hell is that about? That's
Well,
that's horseshit. You
it's the
can't
same
use your
thing with
basement like that.
it's the same thing with plastics, man. Plastics have literally dropped the fertility count in our generations, and it's keep dropping our fertility count in our generations over and over and over again. And right now, if I took a needle and I injected it into your blood, there would be a small amount of plastic in there.
Probably.
Same thing if you decided to have a kid, that kid would have a small amount of plastic in his blood, because now you've passed it on to them from the tubes that are injected or whatever that are being used to keep the baby alive, or when it comes out of the womb. Everything is involving plastics. And they started to notice that with, and it, you know how they found the correlation of it. It was I forgot what her name is. I think it's Chandra something who talked about it. She wrote a book about it. She measured the size of children's taints, like young men's taints. Your taint size is linked to the number of or your fertility count, which is leading to this giant kind of corruption with miscarriages, this giant thing with low sperm men, everything. They're noticing it from so it's basically the generational taint shrinkage is causing us to be infertile as people. And this is where you see situations like it's foliates that are in these
So I'm
plastic
saying,
bottles.
like, if somebody's ball sack is too high, then they're infertile.
I think it would be too low.
Too low.
Yeah, because the lower it gets, it starts to go near like your inner part of your thighs, and that's
Okay.
because your taint size is shrinking.
Okay.
I know it sounds disgusting, and I'm being 100% serious, but like,
You're not being disgusting. It says if it's legit, then it's legit,
well, like
right?
from your great grandparents, for instance, your great grandparents, not mine, your great grandparents, their sperm count would have been like 40 something, or it would have been like 97%. And
Hold
then
the phone here, pal.
what?
Okay, not my great grandparents, but your whatever. How old do you think I am?
You're like in your late 30s, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're great
So it's only like
grandparents.
10 years or 15 years.
Okay, my grandparents had kids young, so I don't know what your great grandparents
How old
probably
are
would have.
how old are your
My
grandparents?
grandparents are in their 60s. My
Okay, my
parents are
parents
in
are in
their
their 60s.
my
Fine, you win this
parents are
one.
like in their
You
late
win
40s.
this one.
Actually, they're probably in their 70s now that I think about it. But with great grandparents, for instance, their sperm count was probably about, or fertility count was probably at 97%. And then ours is now at like a 40 something percent. And it's just dropping steadily. I mean, if you look in like,
Good.
if you look in countries like Singapore, for instance, they're literally, instead of like forcing kids to only have like a one gender or one certain type of thing with their kids, it's now getting to a point where they're paying people to have kids because it's so hard for them to be able to do so, because their amount of plastics is way more compared to our amount of plastics that's being used.
Is that a bad thing though, Robbie?
I don't know.
Do we need more kids?
I had a nap.
Do we need more kids?
Yeah, I think so.
There's 7.9 billion people in the world.
You just need an apocalypse to wipe some people out. If I'm one of those
I
people,
was hoping
that's okay.
COVID would have done that.
Just shut up. Don't say that. It's horrible. Bake your banana bread at peace.
The Thanos snap, you know, like that was what I was banking on, but it didn't do the job. So, yeah, look, there's there's not going to be an easy way of reducing the population of the world, and I think this is the one way they're going to do it without having like an enemy. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think the population needs to be reduced with some type of like horrible natural disaster like that. I think it's eventually going to evolve into another thing where I think we're going to start living on other planets. And I think when that becomes to happen, I don't think it's going to probably be in our lifetime. It's probably going to be in another lifetime, but I think it's going to become less, it's going to be not cool to live on Earth. And I think there'll be some people that have spent probably like maybe it's not out of the realm. We got William Shatner going into space.
You gotta move to Mars because it ain't cool to live on Earth anymore. That's they're gonna be their advertising slogan, eh?
It's a basic planet compared to once you start having people live on Mars, once you start having people live on Jupiter. It's laughable now because it's the only planet that we all exist in. But you got to think futuristic aspect. There's a whole generation of people out there that live by a futuristic movement that they want technology to consume their lives. Hopefully,
there's no natural resources on fucking any other planet.
You don't think they would be able to create those? You really don't think they'd be able to sustain that? There's a reason I've had
natural meaning natural, that they're there naturally.
Okay, what I'm saying is I've talked to an astroecologist being able to grow plants in outer space. There's people eventually you'll be able to modify the land, much like we're able to modify the land here. You're able to modify the land on another planet to make sustainable water. If you could, the weird part is we haven't been able to desalt the oceans yet. Like, I don't know why we haven't put technology into that to maybe end fucking droughts, but we haven't. But there's a way to be able to create water, or like there's those machines that are like $5 million a piece. They're called earth roamers, and they're basically like, it's a camper, but it has like these like high terrain tank wheels or stuff on it where it's able to literally like, if you're on like a bumpy surface or something, it's able to flatten out the land and make it flat for you to be able to sleep in that camper perfectly without the whole entire thing being uncomfortable or out of place. You're able to create your own land space. Now, if we have machines that can completely level a certain mountain or some type of thing that we've done before to build things, what is out of the realm of possibility for you to be able to go live onto another planet at some point in the future? They're going to develop that technology to change the consistency or density of water to be able to make it more drinkable or maybe more human friendly in some aspects.
You're talking about flattening land versus like
what I'm saying is you're not
wine out of water, man.
You're the issue I have with people that don't think the government has the power that they do. Just look at things that they have thought about and look at what they could possibly do with all that time. During Kennedy's presidency, they had a plan.
So hold on. Do you think that they think they're wasting their time with Earth and now they've moved on to the next thing?
I don't
think
what
you're saying?
I don't
it's like Earth is a lost cause, basically.
Why would Earth be a lost cause?
So well, I don't know. It sounds like you're saying that
I don't
think that Earth is a lost cause. Not that you think, that they think that Earth is a lost cause, and so they're exhausting their resources into terraforming or changing the the ability to
Who's
turn like
they? Who's
dust
they?
into like water in like Mars or some shit like
Who's
that.
who's they?
I don't know, the Illuminati or whoever the fuck deals with this bullshit.
I think you need to
It ain't
change
me.
the words that impact the sentence. And I think when you say, do you think that it's a lost cause? I think the word lost cause needs to be changed with it's already locked down. They don't
Mm-hmm.
need, they're already doing what they've already dominated the market in every single aspect. You're seeing how hard it is to become a self business person now. You remember how a
Mm-hmm.
couple of years ago there was a giant push, even before the pandemic or during the pandemic, there was a push to be your own entrepreneur like
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago or almost a year and a
Mm-hmm.
half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that now? How many people took it and say, no, I failed at that, or no, I can't do that, or how littered is the market to where it's so hard to even access it now because everyone's fucking doing it. They gave
Mm-hmm.
you the disguise that it's an open market to be your own business person, and we will give you a prize if you become this person that wants to make their own business. We're going to help you become successful. Did they
Mm-hmm.
fucking help anybody? No,
Nope.
because it's a
Nope.
disguise, man. This society is disguised. My society, your society, this whole entire thing, this world is disguised as a mental health nation, and we care about your mental health. They don't give a fuck. They
They don't
don't
give a
care.
shit.
Nobody
I know they
understands
don't.
that. It's like the same thing with the UFO community. They go, the government can't hold that information from us. It's like, do you think that you have the right to know?
Mm-hmm.
The government doesn't have to tell you jack shit. The
No.
government chooses what they want to fucking tell you. You going for disclosure, you getting a bunch of people to say, you got to show us this. Why? What incentive do they gain from telling you? To get you to
Mm-hmm.
shut up? Sure. But you have no power in what they choose to release to you. Just like this earth has already been locked down with all these corporations. It's going to phase out all these small businesses. You're going to see Amazon and Walmart take over, and they're going to lead to another planet. The other planet is a prospect for something new, for something different. It's just about who's going to get there first. And whoever gets
Mm-hmm.
there first, sadly, is going to control the market in a lot of aspects. People worry about China. China's issue was they dominate the market and industry instead of expanding out like America tried to do and try and change a bunch of nations that necessarily weren't ever going to change. They decided to build up their infrastructure. You know how they win
Mm-hmm.
the war? Not by guns, but by owning the market. And now the
Yeah.
market is completely owned by them to where all trading goes through them. They're the world powerhouse in trading. They lead that 100% because everything that they make is what everyone uses.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not,
I
I mean,
agree.
you can't get stressed out by it. You just got to look at it and be like, it's a
No, I
fucking,
don't.
it's the best goddamn reality show you've ever seen, man. It is a fucking empire status type show, dude. I fucking love it.
Mm-hmm. I'm
There's,
just I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't care
There's
anymore.
a movie with Keanu Reeves called Replica. You ever see it? It's new.
No.
It's new. But it's on Netflix, and it's like he's trying to imprint human consciousness into a robot to be able to be
Okay.
that person's next body, kind of like Terminator. He ends up
There's
his
a
fit.
show called what's the fucking show? Altered Carbon too. It's
Yeah,
kind of like that.
well, he ended up taking a road trip or vacation with his family, and then his family died on the way to the vacation. So he takes
Mm-hmm.
their consciousness and then he puts them into these clones. Like he creates these clones in vats and takes like 72 hours or something in these pods, and he creates a replica of their fucking of his family. And it's like, is
Mm-hmm.
that out of the realm of possibility? With how much movies have guessed so much, do you think it's impossible to think that they haven't done it? They did it in like 1990 something. They cloned a
Sure, why
sheep.
not?
They cloned a sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when Jurassic Park was coming out.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
wish we would have had a Jurassic Park, dude.
Well, didn't they? Aren't they trying to clone woolly mammoths or some shit like that?
Yeah, they were doing a Playatorian Park or whatever it was called, where they were going to have in Russia this like 20 something mile or 200 miles something thing, where they were going to have
Mm,
like basically a park filled with um these prehistoric creatures like woolly
that's a
mammoths and
great
stuff of that
idea.
sort. I think there's more to unlocking a genetic code than what we have already. Like I think people are trying to bring things back from the dead, but I just would like to be able to try and find a way to not really splice our DNA, but try and find ways to make us adaptable to certain scenarios. That we might necessarily not be capable of dealing with. Arizona right now, for instance, is going through solar flares. Their
Okay.
internet is all fucking in and out. Their technology shut down, power outages. Texas, for instance, I had my buddy on my show. He tells me, we haven't talked in almost a year. He is telling me about the giant freeze in Texas and what it was like to be 2 weeks without fucking like power, like just being
Right.
freezing cold temperatures. You're burning logs on your front porch because you're trying to stay warm because your house is like -2. Um,
Right.
and I was talking to him. I was like, when did you start to like reach this point of like not giving a fuck or wanting to go kill your neighbor? And he was like, it was definitely 2 weeks. And I was like, it's weird how it lasted 2 weeks, right? He goes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. He goes, anything past that, I was about to lose all faith, like to a point
Mm-hmm.
where I just would have went into my neighbor's house, stolen all their shit, and used it as firewood or something like that. Because it gets
Wow.
to that, you don't know how insane you're going to be if the power goes out. There were people. Imagine a point where it freezes so bad your whole house is below freezing. You're literally burning books in the middle of your living room to stay warm. You're taking your food that's in your refrigerator and you're sticking it in the snow that's now outside of your house. That's what he was doing. You got to
Yeah.
understand when it comes to these apocalypse scenarios, when you really, we all could say that we want one. And I've been saying it'd be cool to have one just so you didn't have to worry about fucking flushing the toilet or paying bills. But when it actually happens, you got to understand is like, I don't think anybody's prepared for that. I had my power
No,
go out
nobody's
in my
prepared.
town for fucking 4 hours, dude. The whole power went out in our whole entire town. No electricity, no anything,
Mm-hmm.
just from a power outage. You're
Mm-hmm.
calling a line that's saying, we know it's down, we're getting it fixed. You realize how small your power is, where you start to wonder what the basic survival instincts and what that is eventually going to lead to. Where I think
Mm-hmm.
an apocalypse scenario is not necessarily the liable option, but I think an idea of trying to bring back capabilities that humans were capable of doing now is probably important. Had too much reliance in technology to be able to do things for us. Where if I asked you to go carve me up a spear, could you do that? If I asked you to go get me food without going to a supermarket, could you do that?
No, where are you gonna find food? On this, like a raccoon?
Exactly. So there's no
It's
viable
probably so
option there.
lousy that you can't even eat it.
So the corporations have literally made it so much so that cities and societies are built up to where if you went to go look for a fucking deer, could you find it as easily as my buddy found a bear on his front porch?
No,
No.
no.
So how would you survive if there was none of that or there was no one caring for you? As much as I poke holes in the government of this Illuminati structure, you understand that they do play a viable part in an aspect of, I don't think that there should be completely ridded. I just think that there needs to be bigger restrictions or bigger noticing that the power is now shifting out of your hands. And once you lose that power, it's much like, leaving your parents or
Mm-hmm.
someone dying. You don't ever get to go back to that point where it is that, unless you develop time travel. I don't think that's
Well,
happening.
like yeah, like you said, the survival skills of people these days, the basic survival skills. How about that? Is that Thursday? Basic survival skills aren't there
Yeah.
because we don't need them. Technically, we don't need them because we're not out in the wild and having to rely on, I don't know, the natural environment to sustain us. We got grocery stores. We got, that kind of bullshit. So I don't know.
It's
Could
it
we eventually adapt to it? Maybe.
it's kind of like I like learning about history because as much as this time might seem like it sucks in a lot of aspects, a good like
Mhm,
revolutionary point in time was the industrial era, mostly
mhm,
because the amount of things that people were making, the innovations that were happening. It's not really different from today. There's still great innovations going out there, but there's just so many main logos and brands and corporations where the independent producer is gone in a lot of
mhm.
aspects of things.
Okay, I'll bite.
Like
Sure.
what?
I
Yeah.
don't know. What I'll bite onto whatever you're feeding me right
You
now
you got fucking distracted by
by my dog.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay.
No, but yeah, okay. It makes sense that like a lot of the stuff is financed from big names because that's the only players that can play out there.
I just think there's an unrealistic
There's no. This goes back to not being able to be a true entrepreneur.
yeah. Well, I just think there's an unrealistic expectation on the viable options that a person has to become who they want to become with the amount of freedom that they can. And I also think that there is an unrealistic expectation that we're not as advanced as we are. I think we're way more advanced than we think we are. I think something is probably keeping us a little, like, we obviously, technology, government wise, the government has technology that's at least 30 years, 40 years advanced to what we have now. That has been known to come out about technology with cell phones and devices and other types of advanced capabilities that we just haven't been able to experience yet. So to think
Mhm.
that they're not imprinting some person's consciousness into some type of machine and testing that out already, that they don't have the technology to do that, they are 100% probably doing that.
Probably, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
If like, how do we end up going from, I don't know, computers the size of rooms to shit? You got basically whatever. Sorry, let me go back. You got so many different devices into what we are speaking on right now, a cell phone, or what I'm talking on right now is a cell phone, right? Whereas, like, in the 80s, you had to have, a video camera recorder, you had to have a TV, you had to have a calculator, you had to have all these other devices. Okay. And now it's conveniently in this small little device that's, no bigger than a brick.
Yeah.
So, like you said, to think, and that was only what, 30 years ago?
I mean, you're going to get to
From,
a point where Google Glass was a thing. It was a failed project of having this device like eyeglasses on your face that be able to have Google like pop up a little roadmap and this little visor
yeah, I
type thing.
remember that. Yeah.
That's not out of the realm of possibility of happening even more. But I think now it's going to be a neural implant into your head, much like the Neuralink was an idea and still kind of is a thing. There's going to be a
Mm,
bunch of people like futurists, people that want to invent technology or are pro of a future of technology, where it becomes like that movie with Bruce Willis, where they just put you into a simulation or they
12
put you in.
Monkeys?
No, it's like a
Which
movie
movie?
where you get to be like upload your consciousness into like an AI bot, and then people found a way to be able to fry your AI bot that fries you in real life.
What movie was that
I
with
don't know.
Bruce Willis?
I gotta look up Bruce Willis movies now. Jesus.
Sorry, I'm not following. I don't know which one you're talking about.
I bet you $20 when I type in Bruce Willis movies, it's gonna pop up. Ah,
Oh,
Die
for
Hard,
sure.
Surrogate.
Okay, never watched it.
It's the movie was like putting yourself into a consciousness or some type of thing that's an AI body. So like you were in
Hmm.
like this little like pod type thing, like a virtual reality thing. You got put the goggles on and you could get to go live in this AI robot body. And then like he was a cop, so he could jump out of a helicopter and hit the fucking ground and then go bust these people that refused to do this AI type thing. There was a whole like how anonymous is a thing. There was a bunch of people that were like anonymous that were anti this technology or anti this
Hmm.
type of living, and
Hmm.
they developed this device that if they shot the AI robot with it, it fried your eyes in the real life out as well as the
Hmm.
AI robots. So it was killing
Hmm.
actual people.
Well, that sounds all right. I'd be down for that.
What are you talking about? You're like
Well,
half paying attention to me because like that doesn't make any
what do
sense.
you mean? How's that not paying attention to you?
How
What?
does that all right?
Why not? That's um for lack of a better term, raging against the machine. It's
Yeah, but
the anti-establishment.
I'm explaining a movie to you. What I'm saying is
Yeah, but
that.
what if it happens in real life?
But yeah, but there's a that's the what
But
futurists.
and then
Okay,
what if?
hold on. Ah, that's what futurists are for. Futurists love
Okay,
this idea of mending or having an advanced human future, which leads into
we
when.
froze up. Hold on, we froze up.
Okay, I'll pause. But with the futuristic aspect of what people can want to achieve compared to if we should achieve it. I like the more primal stuff as well when it comes to like I want humans to be able to have the capabilities to do things for themselves, but also society likes this innovation and loves this technology. We go back to the industrial age. There were
Mm,
major mass innovations to make life easier. I think the fact that like I wanted to look up how many people back in the day got into horse accidents. Like how many people were like you know how we have car accidents? How many people were
yeah.
riding their horses into other people?
I have no clue.
You would think it
That's
would be
that's
difficult.
pretty funny though.
But you think it would be like, no, you got all this open space. Yeah, but they designed roadways, right? So how many people were
Yeah,
just rushing through town and one person's going slow? And like, did you get road rage on a horse? Like some dude screaming and cussing at a
just
person while his
ran
horse
into
is,
each other
yeah.
or jumped from the
The
horse to
very
like tackle
first,
the other
the
guy.
very first two cars in the world that only went like 5 miles an hour, the very first two carts, those two
Yeah.
people lived in the same town and they ran into each other.
How is that possible?
Exactly is what I'm saying is like there's a weird idea of like things that you
Were
wouldn't
their
expect.
brains not as advanced and they couldn't
No,
comprehend that they had to
well,
turn the vehicle
you have to
to
think
not?
when you were a kid going in the you have to think when you were a kid going into a car, it was like the most
Yeah,
amazing thing in the world because you were moving so quick. And then now you're an adult, you don't even think about it. I think
yeah.
like it's kind of like the movie Year One with Jack Black, where it's like they're cavemen or whatever. You know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about? When they
I
get into
remember
that
watching
cart
that. Yeah,
and the cart's going 5 miles an hour, they're like, woo, and they're screaming because they weren't used to something like that. And then they
right.
adapted to it. I think that's like that with everything that we have. There's people that are just mind blown at the things that technology can do now. And I'm like, I think that's the same way with how future generations are going to look at us. We think
Mhm.
that living to be like 90 years old is like the lifespan of people now. Man, 30, 40 years ago, it was like 50 or 30 or 40. You know, back when the pilgrims came over here, it was 20 late 20s
30.
or
Yeah.
30s was a good. There's going to be people a couple generations probably from us when we develop, you know, whatever going on to another planet. You might age differently on Mars. You might
Mhm.
get to live to be 800 years old. You know what I mean?
No
Your
thanks.
lifespan of a human
No.
might be able to expand out.
Ugh, I can't even. No, I
You
can't
can't
comprehend that.
you
No.
can't fathom it, but it's possible.
Would you want to though?
No,
Would you want to?
I saw my great grandfather live to be 90 and he fucking hated his life.
Right. Right. Okay. If I gotta work in construction until I'm 75 fucking years old, I mean one. Like
Change your fucking job, fucking handyman
I'm
Tim.
already at that Danny Glover point where it's
Jesus.
like I'm getting too old for this shit. Okay. If I have to be 75 working that bullshit, I am gonna be one grumpy motherfucker.
Or you could live in Alaska where there's like 14 hours or 16 hours of daylight and only a couple hours of night.
Oh, it wouldn't be any different. I'd get blackout blinds and I
Could you
just like
imagine
sleep.
living in a world where it's like because our times clocks just changed. So we went back or forward an hour or back an hour. So
Back an
like
hour.
yeah, we went back an hour. So I'm like, imagine if you lived on lived in a place or a town or a city that like it was like 22 hours of daylight and 2 hours of night. I'd fucking hate my life, dude. I couldn't. I hate
Oh,
the
that
fucking.
would be horrible.
I like the sun. I think it plays a point. It's good to help with COVID. I think. Um, but I fucking hate. I love night because night for some people, what I look at it as, that's when like people are like systematically set to just hit the pillow when the sun goes down. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I like that because like being up when no one's awake, like I enjoy that so much.
Yeah. Like okay, don't get me wrong. I love starting early in the morning. Um, because it just means I get to finish early and during the day, right? And then get my other shit done while everybody else is still working. Like go to the groceries or whatever, Home Depot. You don't have to stand in those long ass lineups. You don't have to deal with the hustle and bustle of traffic, because there's no traffic when I finish work. So that I enjoy, and then getting home at a decent time. But as soon as the sun goes down, like my head is just hitting that pillow, and I mean as soon as like we're in bed at like 6:30, 7 maybe, and then like my friends can't even like fathom that shit. Like they're up until midnight, and these are guys that still have to like work at the same time that I have to work at, which is really I can't comprehend. I don't know how they only get like you know 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep. I can't work with that.
I mean, some people have different, I guess.
Everybody has their own rhythms.
Yeah, like I only sleep a couple
Don't
hours
get
a
me wrong.
night,
There,
but I'm
how
effective
many?
with it. Oh, a couple hours.
Really?
Yeah, I've been known to be like a kind of an insomniac. When I get my sleeps are deep. Like I'll sleep
Mm-hmm.
30 minutes or 40 minutes at a time, and I'll get like
Mm-hmm.
the deepest sleep that'll feel like 8 years. But I might
Really?
have an unnatural REM cycle. I mean, there's a theory about that called night watchers, which are people that used to watch the campfires at night who didn't really need a lot of sleep, but they would protect the people that would sleep by the fires at night to protect from animals or intruders.
Okay.
Do I think it's that? I don't know. But there are different areas of thriving for a lot of different people. I don't know if it's whether it's a creative aspect, whether it's doing work under pressure, or whether it's having no pressure at all and just letting something come about. Um, it's just weird to see how everyone has triggers of things that get them mad, but do people talk about the triggers that really ignite a person's personality or have a person hit some type of revel or next stage into who they are as a person? I don't know
Mm,
what that is. Mike Tyson, his obviously was having a horrible fucking childhood and becoming one of the
mm,
pro boxers of all time. Um,
mm.
but I wouldn't say that's the roadmap for everyone. But it seems like when you're put under pressure, a lot of people have to adapt to that pressure and then capable of handling more or having a deeper sense of thought in life because of that pressure.
Okay.
So instead of doing that, now we can have a device that just does it for us. A device that gives you 30 years of fucking hatred and fucking horrible life scenarios where you got your sister that got shot or something like that, and it
Yeah.
implants that into your head, but it never happened. It is all a scenario, but it's so real to you that it feels like that is the possible future that did happen.
So, so hold on. Why do we have this device that's implanting all this trauma into your brain? Is it to manifest you into some kind of person that you're supposed to be? Is that what you're saying? To unlock some kind of, I don't know.
I'm listening to you. I'm just
Oh,
waiting
I
for you
don't
to
know. I'm
pick a
just I
spot where
don't know.
you were.
I don't know where you
You
went
went
off with
immediately
that.
from a possible scenario of that people are going to eventually lead to a point where they're using technology to
I'm
make
trying to
them.
get where your mind was going with all that
Yeah, but
shit.
you took it like an inflection, like I got taken behind a shed when I was a fucking kid. No, I didn't get taken behind a shed. I'm
Well, I don't
saying
know.
that
You
if
talked about an
if the
implant
idea of
afterwards.
if the idea of pressure and evidence of pressure in
So
life
you want
creating.
Mike Tyson to become Mike Tyson at 10 years old as opposed to
Christ,
like
get your mind out
20
of the
years old?
gutter. What I'm saying is that if there's a possible evidence, there's obviously evidence of that hard. What's the quote? Hard times create hard men. Easy times create easy men. Um, oh god damn it, I'm gonna blank on the quote. Hard times create hard men. Easy times create easy men. Hard men. Oh no, hard men create easy times. Easy times
Many times
create easy
create,
men. Easy
man.
men create hard times. Hard times create easy men. Something like that. But
Yeah, it's like it's cyclical.
yes, so you don't want people to experience pain through their life, even though you've seen evidence that that creates usual good production or usual good ideas or good innovation.
Hmm.
So with
Hmm.
that roadmap, instead of just having someone experience 30 years of pain in their actual life, how about I just implant 30 years of memories of pain into your mind to make you that ending scenario? Next, you get to a possibility or a reality where you're having people experience things that they've never experienced at the age of like 15 or 20, all because it with the idea that it's going to create good work. And then next thing you know, that whole theory of good men and hard men and all this type of stuff, it stops. It doesn't work anymore because now you've let technology ruin that. Much like technology with a phone has ruined letters, has ruined emails, has ruined personal interactions. It's all now through a device. It's exposing you to something new, capturing the idea of something old. Rather than making its old roadmap or making its own roadmap, it's now hijacking one and destroying them both.
What happens when you use that technology to try and quote unquote impress hard times onto somebody's psyche that can't cope with that?
Well, they're
And
probably going
then
to
you
have to mess with the algorithm a couple times. The first couple of people that do it, the very
So what the fuck?
yeah, the very first
so
couple of
you're just
people.
gonna
Hold on,
try
hold
and
on, hold on, hold on. The very first couple of people that get that
Uh-huh.
image into their mind of those hard times or those rough
Mhm.
situations that never happened. They're probably going to
Mhm.
get really depressed and might hurt themselves or might
Mhm.
have a freak out. Then eventually they're going to
Mhm.
perfect the algorithm to a point where it's so reproducible that it's able to make sure that people don't hurt themselves.
So how many software patches are you gonna have to go through
A lot,
before you can get your
a
your
lot.
your true what do you call it? True self,
Well,
I
the
guess.
movie Replicas, when they were imprinting that guy's brain into a robot, they were on robot
Uh-huh.
346 and they never got it right. So they just kept bringing people back from the dead and putting them
Really?
into a robot. And that's 340 something people they did it to. And they still hadn't gotten it down.
Christ.
You think they care? If someone
They
got
don't
shot in
care.
war and was dead and they brought that person back to life, they don't care about the pain of that
Mhm.
person that they experienced of bringing them back alive. They only care about making it so you can never die.
So, Ravi, are we in a simulation right now?
I'm not fucking crazy, man. I'm
Come
just saying you
on.
got to think
Come
about the
on.
people.
That's a real
I don't
question.
I don't think
Because
we're in a
there's
simulation.
times where I think
Yeah.
like
I don't
it,
think we're in a simulation, but also I don't know. And would you know if you were? But I think there's a lot of weird shit that's going on in the world that I necessarily don't know what that is. I think there's a
mhm,
lot of weird scenarios that people like me and you get placed in. I think there's a lot of weird things that society is running by, mostly the fact that we have a thing that we call laws that are just essential agreements that you don't break, all because we agree on the same things. When you
mhm,
see someone break a law, is it that they're a horrible person or they just didn't agree with what that is? The rules or this, hey guys, this is the rule. This is the ground rules. They're just ground rules. I'm not saying go
right.
break the law, but the idea that people talk about society's crazy right now, I'm like, what are you? I was like, I go, what do you like? The fact that we don't break more laws as people, you start to see like someone got a ticket, you broke the speeding law. That's an easy one. Everyone talk about easy laws you can break, hard laws. There's other laws out there. There's varying differences on laws. But I started to
Mhm,
look at the concept of the fact that we don't have more people doing crazy things with all these laws that are out there. You have a bunch of people just going by terms and agreements. This is the first
mhm,
time that people are actually abiding by the terms and services of what they're using. And that's fucking life. Life is now a product. I don't think it's a
mhm.
simulation. I think it's a product. Every day you're being sold something. Every day you're living something. Every day you're technically putting something in, but are you getting anything out? Hopefully you're getting more out than you put in. But necessarily, I don't think society's set up for you to get more out than you put into it. I think it's always getting a little bit more from you until you're beaten and broken and working out of construction.
Oh, that you don't have to like think very hard about that. You just have to look at your local employer for that. That's an easy one. Like
I don't think it's your employer
they
either. I think it's a concept of you've created a competition market. And sadly,
well that too, right?
the
But
idea that a competition market is between you and another person, it's not that. I think the competition market is between you and a corporation now. It's changed. It's not necessarily the company you work for. It's the giant corporations that have dominated the market. Netflix, Amazon,
yeah.
Hulu. Three services right there. Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu.
What about it?
The answer is in their name. Do you think they give a fuck about your feelings? What are the first letters to their name? NAH. Nah, they don't care. They don't care about you, bro. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I know that. I know that. But they just provide content for us to pass the hours at.
I'm not about destroying businesses or corporations like that, but I just believe that they shouldn't have the power that they have. I think that there needs to be an open understanding, especially when it comes to the terms of censorship. Like Mark Zuckerberg talking about the metaverse or whatever he wants to call it. Facebook is
Meta.
now, yeah, the Facebook is now about to be turning into, it's now going to be called Meta.
Yeah, I know. I don't know about
It's
that
just
bullshit.
weird.
No.
It's like, when did we expect Facebook to be anything more than Facebook? Now we're
It's
expecting
just
Mark.
rebranding. That's all it is rebranding.
Yeah, but it's becoming more than that now. It's going to be this innovation of ideas that I think is not going to end up working out. But like people look to Elon Musk or Bezos or some type of person to give them money or have the answers or be the next civilizational kind of innovation like a Tesla or something like that. We should have never put that much power or idea into Tesla or Edison Edison or anybody of those people to believe in the first place. They're fucking people. But we have major influencers or major people that have influenced us through history that we look to now, and we look to our fucking actors. I don't expect Sandra Bullock to get up on stage and talk about mandates or masks or anything like that, but she does it, and people are cheering her, thinking that she has the power to sway your thoughts or opinions or the way you feel about something. Same thing with Matthew McConaughey running for governor of Texas. We're in a weird fucking time, man.
He's running for governor?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ron White ran for president, but that was just a joke, I think.
Yeah, but Jesse Ventura made it into like governor, what is it, of Minnesota?
It's going to end up leading into the movie Idiocracy, where we're watering the crops with Gatorade. Did you know?
I did watch that. That was insane.
Back to the beginning, Coca-Cola was ending up telling people that they could water their crops with a type of Coca-Cola product, not Dasani, but a type of water that they created, and it did not work. It actually infected the plants with something that became unusable to feed to the people by FDA regulations. You start to look into it, like where you start to look at these corporations. Why the fuck is Coca-Cola worried about farming? Unless they're paying for something they impacted, why are they trying to influence farmers? You start to understand it's like how many corporations I wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility of the brand fucking Hot Pockets starting to lead into like major tech innovations with AI. Like, what the fuck are they doing over there? Doesn't matter. The idea of no limits was supposed to be for people, not for corporations to be like, why the fuck does Coke own half of the schooling district? It's like, yeah, and they're teaching you that sugar from Coca-Cola is not bad for you. It's a fucking lie.
Dude, and it's okay. I'm a prime example of what a lot of people have gotten to be, is where you just turn your brain off and don't even pay attention to the news or think outside the box or out of the blank.
That's a good life, though. Just turning the brain off. I'd love to fucking
just
turn my brain off and drive.
I really can't.
I would love to just turn my brain off and drive. Just drive my car right through that red light, like Bruce Jenner.
Oh yeah.
Killing that lady.
Yeah. I just can't deal with it. That's the thing. I just can't deal with it because I'm tired. So, and a lot of people are just tired of all the shit that's out there, right?
I know you didn't want to do the podcast because you weren't feeling it. It's understandable, man.
It's not that. It's I'm talking about, like, you're bringing up a lot of points, right? And they're all valid points.
You're not supposed to have answers, Adam. I'm not looking for answers.
I'm not asking. I'm not telling her. I'm not expecting you to think that I have answers. What I'm saying is that on a personal level, right? And you're saying the society is going to an idiocracy level, right? Or a society. And the reason for that, I'm just saying what I think the reason because that is because people just don't want to deal with the bullshit that the fucking, they can't deal with it.
Yeah.
They on a personal level, and even if they band together as a group to try and counteract what a big corporation is doling out to us, they can't affect change. They can't do anything about it. So why bother? Yeah. That's what it's gotten down to, is why bother? Because you're going to beat your fucking head against a fucking wall.
I'm having fun with it. I don't know about you.
I just can't do it anymore. So I watch fucking cartoons.
Yeah. The sanity is broken.
As soon as I come home.
I think,
and then I go to sleep.
The sanity has broke me to a point where I'm actually enjoying it. There's two lines. There's, you know how there's red and blue. Well, there's also people that don't want to know, and there's people that you can't know it all, because there's always something new.
There's so much out there.
There was just 13 people killed at that fucking concert that just happened in Texas. That was just from a matter of that there was so many people stepping on top of each other that people got trampled and people were crushed. That's what happens. It was just an unintended thing nobody thought about, but we're literally getting to a point, much like when you see like a whole entire farm of chickens, a coop of chickens, like not a small farmer's coop, but a giant industry thing. There's chickens that are dead in there because other chickens had stomped on top of them. That's literally what just happened with this Texas.
You're talking about like that like truck that's going down the highway.
And there's dead chickens in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
eventually we're getting to a point where there's just people that aren't noticing what's going on around them to a point where you're going to be like that chicken that's stomped in on the ground. People are
Mhm.
the weird part is that there's a strict comparison of livestock and people now, where I start to
Mhm.
understand is like, do you think that I'm the only person that notices that? I bet you there's a lot of people that notice that. And you think that you're the first person to notice that? No. I bet you a corporation has noticed that. And I bet a corporation has been treating you like that for a very long fucking time. And I think that's how
Oh
the
yeah.
system runs perfectly.
Yep. Yep.
I
It's
like it.
sad and it's shitty because it's true.
It's like that show Inside Job I was telling you about on Netflix, the cartoon,
Oh, yeah.
the
When
Illuminati
I
show.
watched, yeah, I watched an episode of that. That was
It's
pretty
pretty
good.
good, dude. I
Yeah.
think it cracks a joke at some like popular conspiracy stuff, but it also like I can't understand. Like I never want to underestimate something. And I think a lot of people are underestimating or just don't care to learn. And
Mhm.
I'm not mad at people that don't care, but the idea, like people are just like, that's impossible. Aliens aren't a thing. Aliens, there's no aliens. I'm like, then why is the government talking about it? I don't think they're
Eh,
aliens, but I think it's a type of tech.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nothing's ever impossible these days.
Never.
Never. So and
So living on another planet and changing the surface shouldn't be impossible either.
I guess, fair enough.
Terraforming, that's a
You
literal
raise a good
term.
point.
Terraforming is a literal term for doing that exact thing.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is your banana
That's
bread
a fair point.
is your banana bread ready yet?
Oh, it's been ready for since we talked
All right,
or since the things went off.
fine. I'll let
Yeah,
you enjoy your
but that
banana
is a
bread.
fair point.
I'll let
Big guy,
you. I know. I'm sorry. I gave you
the
a lot.
pleasure.
All right. It always is. What do you want to want to say your links for people out there listening?
Nah, I'm gonna get off this social media shit soon anyway, so don't worry about it.
Well, get my number or something so you don't lose contact.
Well, we won't lose contact.
Okay. You're gonna be on there
All
for
right.
messaging, but no post.
Well, that's pretty much what it's come down to, where it's
Okay.
like I barely bother with it anymore.
Well, I'll link it anyway, just for people listening.
All right.
All right.
Adam's
Anything?
drawing board
All right. There you go.
on Instagram.
He says it anyway. Look at him go.